Good afternoon and a hearty welcome to News Hour. Coming up in this edition, Parliament reacts to Campaign for Human Rights and Development International's report that the House spent 120 billion leons in 5 years. As NATCOM boss is accused of misappropriating Universal Access Development Fund, Minister of Information and Communication says the fund is safe. And Attorney General presents the new Sierra Leone Bar Association executive to President Komon. This stories and more, plus the business and sports news are lined up in this edition of News Hour. With me, Alice Mariama Thompson. Stay put. Welcome back, and first in the news this afternoon, the Environment Protection Agency, EPA, has donated 2 cassava grater machines to the Sela Limba Chiefdom Bombali district. The donation will divert the attention of the women from harmful environmental practice such as logging and charcoal burning to gari production and other cassava products. Francis Danema reports.
Despite several campaigns to reduce deforestation and other harmful environmental practices, some people still continue these practices. This is because they get their livelihoods from such practices. Alternative livelihood is the only best method that can divert the attention of dependents on the forest for survival to other issues. EPA provides these 2 cassava grater machines for the women. The EPA North Regional Head, Bintu Kaifala, reaffirmed EPA's commitment to protect the environment.
The Environment Protection Agency, as part of its core philosophy in empowering women and youth in recognition of their role in the protection and management of the environment, the Environment Protection Agency donated 2 cassava grater machines to the Sela United Women in Kamakwe to add value to their agricultural activities they are undertaking in order to minimize the negative impact.
The President, Sela Women's Union Mabinti, Adonis Mansare, thanked EPA for the support and promised to use the machines to maximize cassava production in the chiefdom.
We the woman don't want peace because the guy who sister they analyze. If the environment don't get peace, we the woman then how they suffer. If the environment not protected, we the woman then how they suffer. Man they go to other countries, side they go do mining other side. We go other side, go do business, but woman not easy for move. And we know say this machine by God in your power the protection of the chiefdom and the councillors for carry the message. We go make a minimum price for just use this. What in case of any way they pray, we go get her or we go give the woman let it add for we by God in your power.
The attention of Parliament has been drawn to a publication by one Abdul Fatuma of Campaign for Human Rights and Development International, CHRDI, of allegations of misuse of public funds, which he directs as members of Parliament. According to a press release from Parliament, members of the public are reminded of the obligations of citizens as contained in Section 13 of the 1991 Constitution of Sierra Leone under the heading Duties of the Citizen. The release states that Parliament, being a house of records, is encouraging CHRDI to produce documentary evidence banking those claims that 120 billion leons have been allocated or spent by parliamentarians in the last 5 years. The release calls on media owners to pay heed to the publication for accuracy and responsibility as per the Media Code of Practice. Even though Parliament is in recess, the public is assured that Parliament is taking the necessary steps to adequately address these allegations, which it considers grossly misleading in an open, transparent manner. Well, to further talk on this, we have in the studio Cyril Jackson Smith, Director of Communications, House of Parliament. Good afternoon and welcome to the News Hour.
Good afternoon.
Now, this is not good for Parliament. So what is Parliament's stance as of now?
Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon. I'll direct your attention to the contents of the press release which Parliament issued yesterday, and you highlighted some of it. Basically, it's true, it has been observed. We saw the widely distributed article. It's not a press release. I mean, journalists know what a press release is. This article by one Mr. Fatoma of the Campaign for Human Rights and Development International. First time I've heard of that organization. He makes a lot of claims, and the press release describes those claims as grave allegations, and basically calls on Mr. Fatoma to come forward and produce documentary evidence of those allegations.
Okay. Now the release seems more of a defense, trying to say these things should not be stated. They have to take into, consideration accuracy and responsibility and things like that. What is Parliament's stance at this point? Are they looking at it? Is it a kind of, putting a scare in the man or something like that?
Obviously not. You must remember Parliament is a huge organization, and it consists of the legislators that you and I and the rest of Sierra Leone voted for to represent us in the House as per the Constitution of Sierra Leone. Parliament takes it seriously, I mean, not to say that anybody is jittery, but for Mr. Abdul Fatoma to go to the media and distribute, those allegations is something that means that he probably has something up his sleeves. And basically, if he does have evidence, then he should not be afraid to come forward and produce the evidence.
And what if he has evidence concerning this and he brings them forward? What steps would Parliament take?
Parliament is an impartial institution. Don't forget, it consists of the ruling All People's Congress Party and the main opposition, Sierra Leone People's Party. So, I mean, think of what happened some years ago when the mayor of Kenma City made those allegations about members of Parliament that they were demanding a certain sum as bribe for approving his budget. I mean, what did Parliament do? Even though they have the constitutional right and authority and powers to institute an inquiry on their own, the leadership of Parliament decided to send the matter to the ACC. And after a while, the ACC concluded their investigations, and their findings led to the mayor apologizing for those unguarded, and unsubstantiated statements that he made.
Now, Parliament is in recess as of now.
Yes,
so
Parliament is in recess.
What are the steps? What is Parliament going to do, in order to set this record straight?
Well, this is the first step, I think. I don't know what are the steps because, as I said just now, we have a whole leadership. We have the leadership, the political leadership, and we also have the administration. I'm serving as a spokesperson because of my role and responsibility. It's not up to me to make that decision, but once Parliament makes the decision, I'd be happy to communicate it to you.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us.
Okay.
He is Cyril Jackson Smith, the Director of Communications, House of Parliament. Well, President Kumar has removed the chairman and members of the Electricity Distribution and Supply Authority, EDSA, that is according to a release from the Office of the President. According to the release, a 5-man interim caretaker board comprising Idris Aluma Kamara, Bokari Kake, Alpha Jallo, Engineer Trudy Morgan, and Muhammad Abu Sise have been mandated to superintend the affairs of EDSA until further notice. Well, Daphne Kema Macaulay has been finding out more on the sacking, and she now reports. We'll bring you that item later on in the news. President Anas Baikoma has informed the president of the Sierra Leone Bar Association, Mrs. Rhoda Kagbononi, and her executive to come up with new designs for a new law courts complex at a better location. The president was speaking during a courtesy call by the association at State House. Lazibush Kumara sent in this report.
President of the Sierra Leone Bar Association and her executive, when they called on the president at State House, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Joseph Fitzgerald Kamara, expressed gratitude to President Nkrumah for giving them the opportunity to be at State House, and also expressed profound gratitude to the president for the support given to him. During his difficult encounter, he informed the president that his presence at State House is for him to present the executive of the Sierra Leone Bar Association, the oldest one in the sub-region, and the entire African continent, and as such, they are very proud of it. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice maintained recently they had got an election that was very good, outstanding, and historical, because after 20 years of the association, they are able to appoint and elect a lady president in the person of Mrs. Rhoda Kagbononi. Giving a brief background of the association's activities, the president, Sierra Leone Bar Association, Mrs. Rhoda Kagbononi, said the opportunity is one that they at the Bar Association cherish to come to present themselves to His Excellency as the newly executive that is to man the activities of the association for 2016 to 2017. She intimated President Nkrumah that she is humbled to be the first female president of the oldest bar association in sub-Saharan Africa. Mrs. Nuni revealed that the Sierra Leone Bar Association has been a very credible partner of the government of Sierra Leone over the years, and as an executive, they are at State House to affirm that the association seek not to be the mouth of the government or an arm of an opposition, but will continue to be a responsible non-state actor who will lend his voice to important national issues as they arise. She pointed out that the government could continue to count on the Bar Association as it tries to rebuild from the aftermath of the twin shocks of the country's economy, the Ebola crisis, and the fall of the iron ore sector. Mrs. Kagbononi emphasized that during the Ebola crisis, the association supported the government in the form of the Leeway Project raised against Ebola, and that they also made a very minimal donation in the sum of 100 million yuans to assist in the fight against Ebola. Mrs. Nuni also expressed profound gratitude to the president for his leadership during that difficult period in Sierra Leone of the Ebola phase, as they all understood that it must have been a hard, wrenching period for the president. She prayed that God will continue to give President Nkrumah guidance in leading the affairs of the state, adding that they are also there to inform the president that they now have as an association a land that they now call their own at the Belia Park, on which they intend to construct their secretariat.
We also have our law reporting project that we want to resume as a bar association. We have not had law reports, which we know are a backbone of the effective delivery of justice for at least 20 years. And as an executive and as an association, we would like to resume our law reporting project. And Your Excellency, sir, we're also here to solicit your support in any way your government can, because it will also be part of the capacity building of the judiciary, which we know is also something your government has been working really well on. Law reports are important for the proper administration of justice, which is vital to the rule of law, peace, stability, and prosperity of this land that we love.
The Secretary General, Sierra Leone Bar Association, Julian Cole, also expressed delight to be at State House, noting that as an executive, they are very proud of the continued tradition of paying a courtesy call on the President's good self, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone. He noted that the dispensation of justice in Sierra Leone has improved significantly, and in his view, that is because he sees the government very much committed to giving confidence and the more reason for practitioners to go to the bench and also providing the record facilities. The Julian Cole said the presence of magistrates in the provinces is a timeless testimony of the fact that the judiciary is making significant progress. Public Relations Officer Abubakar Siddiqui Toure commended His Excellency the President for what the government has done in trying to oust the work of justice forward and thanked him for everything that his government has been doing in ensuring that not only justice but the conditions and services of those that are actors in the justice sector go forward. Welcoming the president of the Sierra Leone Bar Association and her executive, President Koroma congratulated them for having a very young group to man the oldest bar in Africa, which he described as challenging. The president maintained that he is sure that the president's peers that have elected her are very sure of what they are doing, which is the reason why they got her elected in the first place. He went on that as a government, they welcome the Bar Association as partners in developing Sierra Leone while making it abundantly clear to them that they don't expect them to speak on behalf of government. President Koroma pointed out that also as a government, they believe that while they are serving the government as partners, there is a need for them to draw the attention of the government on issues that they feel strongly about or they have alternative views about. They are at liberty to do so. The president observed that his doors are always open and they reach him through the Attorney General, or they could contact him directly because he thinks they all have a responsibility to work together and transform Sierra Leone.
We are pleased that as at today we have at least a serving magistrate in all of the districts, and like you mentioned, we have 2 in some. We will continue to improve the conditions of service of the members of the bench. The renovation of the law court will continue, but my thinking is for us to come up with new designs and a new project that will relocate the entire law court from the present law court building. I'm sure we have a big enough space in this special court. I'm sure we can come up with a new design that will move the court's activity from the center of the city to a better location. The law courts could better serve as a museum than a local building. But these are all plans that we hope we'll be able to initiate. We may not be able to conclude them, but we can initiate these programs, and let us work together in building up these great projects.
Program Coordinator led Sierra Leone, Bans Kumba Leby, has blamed the recent flooding in Kono on the alleged illegal diamond mining at Congo Bridge. According to him, flooding has never occurred in the town until the Congo Bridge was mined. The mining has affected vehicles and pedestrians accessing the township of Kono. Bans Kumba Leby was speaking to Francis Denema.
It affected their movement. First of all, it deprived their social rights to movement, and it deprived their economic rights and their social rights. The flooding is not anything natural. It occurred because our authorities here decided to mine for their own gain, for their own selfish gain, thereby blocking the highway that leads the city to Freetown and other parts of the country, then abandoning the place. They provided a diverted route which was not properly prepared The rain, the persistent coming of the rain from days past till yesterday caused the whole place to get flooded, and houses have been damaged, properties damaged. People who were supposed to have started their Beckers yesterday, their Becker examination yesterday, couldn't access their schools. Motorbikes, vehicles could not enter for about, a time of like 4 hours, time without number. The mining, they decided to mine without consulting the people. They are claiming that they consulted the people, but I want to challenge them that was not consultation, it was rather a planning for the mining to occur. They came together, the authorities that wanted to mine the place, they gathered at a point, not any public view, not on the coverage of any media. They decided to engage one Israeli mining company owner, Max Brandwein. They awarded him the contract to mine the place because they said he was the one that was capable of mining the place. So when they did that, they call it as an engagement, but it was not engagement. That is what I want to challenge. The justification that the place was illicitly mined by individuals, that I can subscribe to it. Yes, because we went there were a series of marks to prove that indeed it was illicitly mined. But the government has a responsibility to protect life and property. They have got a police, they have got guns. But unfortunately, when they sent a particular police at one time to guide a place, he became the miner, the illicit miner. He partook and he was arrested by his own colleague. He was charged to court. I don't know how he got freed from that case. We are not firmly against the mining. What we are firmly against, the procedure. If mining should take place there, who was to mine it? The resident minister who is spearheading the whole mining is not supposed to be the one. He is not supposed to mine either his office. Okay, so we are not calling for inclusion. We are calling for the right thing to be done by the right person. There is a ministry of mines. That place in the law they did not invite us. The only meeting that we are ever invited was the one summoned by council. Council came here, they brought them to book to come and answer the question. That was the only time we have had a meeting about that mining.
And it was successful. Why didn't
it wasn't successful? We were not allowed to speak. They only handpicked people that could speak on their behalf. We were there, we were never allowed to speak. And it was not like the time the meeting was called, the mining had already started, and it was ongoing. It was never going to be stopped. Others said they have already mined the place, they have damaged the soil beyond its natural core. The road has been damaged, and unfortunately for them, the diverted route they created has been overflowed. That it's not going to be accessible. So we are now after them to get that place fixed and let them be accountable for the diamonds they have already extracted from the place, because it belongs to Kono, it does not belong to any individual.
Program Coordinator leads Sierra Leone Barnes Kumbalebi, taking there to Francis Danema. Well, the National Electoral Commission has concluded a consultative meeting with members of parliament, councillors and the police on boundary delimitation. The meeting held at the YWCA Hall was to seek the views of stakeholders on the draft documentation and make recommendations. According to the National Electoral Commission, out of 48 wards in the Western area, one has been accounted for, which was a point of argument by stakeholders. Daphne Kimama-Macaulay filed in this report.
The consultative meeting was to get the views of members of parliament, the police and councillors, among others, on the draft documents of the boundary delimitation exercise in the Western area. A solid point of argument by stakeholders is the issue of the ward that has been lost. This, according to them, should not have happened because since there has been an increase in the number of constituencies, there should also be an increase in the number of wards. Commissioner Western Area Meata French explained that according to their calculations, the Western Area should lose a seat, and it does not necessarily mean because there is an increase in the number of constituencies, there should also be an increase in wards.
Well, for now we are having a little bit of difficulty explaining the wards because the local councils, for example, for Western area of the city council, the number of wards has been reduced by 1. And so there's a bit of a challenge there trying to explain to them how this has come about, that it's not a straightforward increase in population, therefore is equal to an increase in the number of wards, because that's not how it's done for wards. the number of seats in councils was not increased. The number of parliamentary seats were increased. Therefore, of course, it means that if you have an increase in the population, your seats will increase, but it has not happened for the wards. And so it depends on where the increase in population is highest. That's where the increase in wards has gone. And also there is a regulation that says each council, no matter what the population, should have 12 seats. So that there's also that to contend with. So there's a kind of, I wouldn't call it an imbalance, but it's causing a little bit of stress, yes, for us to explain.
The Member of Parliament for Constituency 107, Honorable Francis Kowa, said so far he is satisfied with the draft documents.
Looking at the increase in population for Western area, which is about 350,000, and when you work it out statistically, a constituency should be about 53,000, and then if we take into consideration the standard deviation, which they said is the best practice, either 25% increase or 25% minus, then Western urban, we happen to get about 6 or 7 constituency, which I would say is kind of a bit reasonable, take into cognizance the number of population increase during this census result.
Councillor Shedrack Ahmed Kagbo of Ward 353 asked NEC to make more clarifications on why the Western area should lose a seat. The Commission was expecting the presence of key political parties in the meeting, but according to the Commissioner Western Area, Meata French, the SLPP was absent and hoped that they will accept whatever outcome from the meeting, as similar meetings have been held in other parts of the country.
National Opinion Poll Sierra Leone has held a press conference to raise awareness about the Finance Act 2016 on customs and excise. The press conference took place at the Mass Entertainment Complex, Calabar Town. Mariama filed in this report.
According to the chairman, National Opinion Poll, Henry Kassim, civil society organizations are neglecting the Finance Act, instead popularizing the abortion bill. He called on the National Revenue Authority to lay more emphasis on the implementation of the Act. The Act, he said, will discourage foreign industries to import goods in a large quantity into Sierra Leone. Chairman, Sorghum Farmers Association, Dennis Jusu, said the Finance Act, if implemented, will create a lot of benefits to farmers. He appealed to civil society organizations to support them in the implementation of the Act. The Sierra Leone Brewery Limited and other local industries are affected by the importation of goods by foreign companies in the country. Ward councillors within constituencies where the Sierra Leone Brewery is operating said the Sierra Leone Brewery has empowered them in their various wards, and if the Act is implemented, the Sierra Leone Brewery will do more. Councillor Ansu Koroma of Ward 352 said the Sierra Leone Brewery has invested over 50 billion leones in constituencies, and that Brewery also supported his ward during the Ebola outbreak in the country. He said the Act will provide job, income generation, domestic revenue to NRA, and improve upon foreign export sales.
It's now time for us to take a pause on the menu stories and join Hawana to Conte for business updates.
Hello and welcome to the business update with me, Awanatu Conte. We begin with the foreign exchange rates. The US dollar buys at 6,035 leons and sells at 6,157 leons. The British pound sterling buys at 7,981 leons and sells at 8,145 leons. And the euro buys at 6,757 leons and sells at 6,892 leons, courtesy of the central bank. The Waikari Insurance Corporation headquarters office is to be relocated in Sierra Leone, with major operation centers to be established in Ghana and Nigeria, a means for regional socio-economic integration. This disclosure was made at the Waikari Insurance Corporation third general meeting held at Radisson Blue Hotel. The chairman of Waikari Insurance Corporation, Kofi Dufo, explained the importance of the annual general meeting.
Our third annual general meeting. As you may be aware, directors, we are accountable to shareholders, and so every year we have to hold an annual general meeting and then meet shareholders of the company to deliberate on the progress of the company. And so that's why we met here today. It's our third annual general meeting. Well, we brought two ordinary resolutions. One, to increase the number of shares issued from 24 million plus to 100 million. And as I did indicate, the business of reinsurance is capital intensive. We have other players in the African continent that we are competing with. For example, Africa Re has a balance sheet size of over $1 billion. Zip Re over 200 million. And so to be able to operate effectively, there's a need for us also to increase capital. But that lies with shareholders because we are accountable to them. So we put it before them. And luckily they have approved it. Just that they caution that they don't want existing shareholders to lose control. And therefore, even though they have approved it, implementation should be done over a 2-year period. On the issue of bonus shares, we also recommended 20 shares for every share that the existing shareholder holds. Profit to shareholders. So apart from declaring dividends, we also recommended bonus share. It is money that we are paying to shareholders, but all that we are saying is that bring it back to the company in the form of capital, to use the capital of the company.
Chairman of Waikari Insurance Corporation, Kofi Dufo. Center for Career Training and Business Development, established to train graduates for job market, thereby creating quality performance in the corporate world. The center offers practical training for small and medium enterprises. The principal consultant and facilitator for Center for Career Training and Business Development, Awanatuli, explained more to Lucian Ganda.
Career training and business development.
Yes.
Well, we set up the center because we thought there is this huge gap in performance, especially for graduates. We have I've come across a lot of people who work in the corporate world, say the bank, for example, where I spent most of my career, and even after they have graduated, they find it difficult to cope with the workplace performance expected of them. So the center has been set up to train people like those, even when you are finished university, or say you went to college, have a diploma. We train you to prepare you for the office place, for your office work. Well, they are practical trainings. We are not going to do anything academics because we expect that you will have gotten the basic knowledge you need from your college or your university. So what we do is to teach you all the soft skills you need to be able to cope in the office place, things like communication, living with people,
thinking outside the box and using your initiatives,
Okay.
things like that, because those things they don't teach you in the university. Long time, because I've been in the corporate world. For now, I'm self-employed. I have been for the past 4 to 5 years, but I had identified this gap, and I knew I wanted to do something. But because of other personal issues, I am more settled now. So I thought, even though we are going to be making money out of it, but it is a way to give back to Sierra Leone.
Well, he is the consultant and facilitator for the Center for Career Training and Business Development, Hawana Tule. She was talking to Lucian Ganda. Well, that's the business update. I'm Hawana Tukonte. Keep watching.
And from the business desk, we continue with the menu stories. Students of Blue Crest College are observing their college week on the theme, Think IT. The week-long celebration is a blend of academic and cultural events. The celebration will create an opportunity for students to showcase the knowledge gained during their first year. Francis Denema has the story.
Blue Crest College was established in 2015 in Sierra Leone with the aim of training Sierra Leoneans on information, communications and technology. Director of NCTVA, Mohamed Jallo, was impressed with the performance of the college, pointing out that he has been monitoring the operations of the college. Deputy Director of Education, Western Area Urban, Nana Bokari, called on the students to take their studies seriously. Nana Bokari reaffirmed our ministry's commitment for quality education for students. The country manager, Blue Crest College, Madhusudan Mukherjee, said the college is operating in over 40 countries and has produced students that are creating impact around the world. He promised to establish other campuses in some parts of the country.
The Chief Medical Officer, Ministry of Health and Sanitation, Dr. Mariama, has urged district medical officers to redouble their efforts in scaling up action for the successful implementation of the presidential recovery priorities. He made this revelation during a meeting on the 10th to 24 months presidential recovery priorities. Joseph Stanley reports.
Addressing healthcare providers, Dr. Kagbo encouraged them to build on community engagement and source surveillance on prone epidemic disease, foster private-public partnership collaboration, as well as strengthen coordination and communication between partners, the hospital and the councils. He observed that the district continued to encounter challenges on service delivery and reminded them of their roles and responsibilities in addressing issues that are critical to addressing the desired results for resilient health system within the presidential recovery priorities and the agenda for prosperity. Dr. Kagbo reiterated that the destiny of the nation lies in the hands of the health ministry and expressed the need for the successful implementation of the 2 years operational plan.
Has a stake in the president's recovery priorities, which I believe as a ministry we need to actually support without any thinking. But please, let us prioritize the 10 to 24 month priority, because the president is actually very much concerned with trying to recover after the 18 months of the Ebola, and to move as a nation. It means we need to address most of these key issues.
The Deputy Chief Medical Officer 1, Dr. Serian Kamara, congratulated healthcare providers for the success made during the 6 to 9 months recovery plan despite challenges. She also spoke about plans for the recruitment of paramedics and drivers for the National Emergency Ambulance Services at chiefdom and district levels that will help improve and promote maternal and child health and drastically reduce maternal and child morbidity and mortality. Dr. Kamara reported progress made on the 24 acres of land acquired at Kerry Town, Western Rural District, for the establishment of structures for the national other key infrastructural development. Health Sector Coordinator, President's Recovery Priorities Program, Dr. Clifford Kamara, underscored the importance of the district operational level for the health sector, since this is where most program activities are implemented. He reminded them that The President's Priorities Program outlines a set of activities that are embedded in the Ministry of Health and Sanitation plans and budgets, highlighting the challenges to save the lives of 600 women and 5,000 children by 2018. Interaction and contribution on key issues from the district medical officers formed high point of the meeting. SLBC News Joseph Tanu reported.
And with that item, news hour comes to a close, but before we go, quick look at the top stories. Parliament has reacted to Campaign for Human Rights and Development International's report that the House spent 120 billion in 5 years. As NATSCOM boss, Momo Kante is accused of misappropriating Universal Access Development Fund. Minister of Information and Communications has said the fund is safe. Attorney General presents the new Sierra Leone Bar Association executive to President Anas Bai Goma. And President Goma has removed board members of EXA. Well, that's all in this edition of News Hour broadcast live on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. On behalf of the news team, news editor Asmi Uba and producer Hawana Tukonte, I'm Alice Mariama Thompson, wishing the rest of your day is glorious. Thanks for your time. Keep watching the SLBC.